What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever Warehouse Workshops podcast. My name is Justin Jones. I'm a cinematographer here in Los Angeles, and this is
Aric Abraham. I am also a cinematographer, but I am also your first AC for however many years, seven now?
8 years, something like that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Also take part in the workshop in behind the scenes capacity a lot, operating
Absolutely.
camera.
And you've taught a couple of the classes too.
Taught a little workshop some point early in the beginning of this,
So this podcast is going to be all about filmmaking, obviously, but we really want to kind of let the instructors from our workshops come in here and kind of delve into their lives a little bit, how they got started, and kind of just give you a little bit more insight into their lives. And also, Aric and I are going to be talking all things filmmaking. We're going to try and get as many people in here as possible. And we're just going to start this one off with just Aric and I and have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for us to kind of talk a little off the cuff and stuff that we may not be able to touch on during the workshops.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of stuff that you try to get through and only so much time to actually do it. So,
right.
It's just another extension of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big news. Warehouse Workshops is going subscription based.
That's right, guys.
So we just actually dropped that today. So when you guys are watching this, you guys can sign up for the subscription. It's going to be cheaper than coming in person, and you get all of the content online, and you get to come to the workshops for free. And there's going to be a ton of benefits like vendor discounts and a ton of other stuff. Obviously, this
got
podcast,
an online community.
So there's going to be a huge forum on there. The discounts are in there. There's going to be a ton of people posting their behind the scenes and their diagrams.
Yeah.
And just a little bits and things. We want to put a place where people can talk about the stuff that they learned at the workshops, because I think that's really important, is for the community conversation to continue after the workshops.
Yeah, because when I were talking last night about some of the things that we really enjoy and appreciate about the workshops, and one of the biggest things for me is the community that we built, and I think it's just another opportunity for people outside of the in-person meetups to engage and ask questions, give feedback, that kind of stuff.
And the live stream will be there, so you can talk and kind of join in. Even if you can't be there in person, you can still ask the instructor questions and still get the most out of it while being online. So I think that's really cool too.
I agree. So you're the instructor of
I am, dude.
This month's workshop,
Warehouse Workshops 15.
Yeah, 15. Woo. Oh my God. So what are you going to be talking about?
So this month it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I've just kind of been figuring out the best way to do it. But a lot of my projects, I do a lot of pre-visualization in Blender. So in Blender, if you don't know, it's like a 3D modeling software that you can build just about anything. Like you can model it. It's basically like bringing in a piece of clay and turning that piece of clay into whatever you want. Yeah. Right. But it's really kind of what's the word for it? Intimidating. Getting into a new program, going, holy shit, there is a lot to take in when you open up Blender or even Cinema 4D. Or even Premiere or something like that, or DaVinci, right? So what I want to do is I want to kind of break down those barriers and let people know that it's not really that hard, right? Because there's a lot of like plugins that you can add in that, you can get models for free and stuff. And there's programs where you can bring in, or add-ons where you can bring in lights and flags and silks and techno cranes and cameras and tripods and
they're all pretty accurate as far as the light transmission and things like that.
And the lens focal lengths and all of that. And so really what this workshop's going to be is me coming in. We're going to be building a set that we have here at the studio in 3D space. And then we're going to be lighting it in 3D space, and then we're going to be taking that previs that we created in Blender and bring it into the real world, which is super exciting, man. Because that's cool. Imagine how much faster, more efficient that makes you, how much more accurate that makes you, how much more of a producer's friend or director's friend or all around just kind of team player when you can build the entire set, light the entire set, and then give that render to your art department. They can go, oh shit, we're gonna actually see that corner. Thank you very much for making this, because I would have showed up with nothing for that, and then it would have made me look bad. So it's really just a way to help everybody on set, including myself, get rid of that imposter syndrome a little bit. I'm not driving to set I hope this idea in my head's gonna work. It's like, I know it's gonna work.
Yeah, you've already tested it out. You kind of spent time trying to figure out what's gonna look best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's not 110% accurate, right? The lighting in there, you can like turn to a million if you want to be like the sun.
Yeah.
But that's where like your kind of onset knowledge comes in. It's like, okay, it's a 1K. I can only bring it, so far, and you kind of know what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that firsthand. Seen some of your renders of these things. When you bring them to set and talk to your gaffer or whoever and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and then they execute it, and it's really cool to see go from a computer program to reality.
Right. And that's another thing, like you just said. It's like I can build it there, but like my team is the professionals that should help me choose the lights and stuff. So if I have a light on there and it looks a certain way, my gaffer can go, you know what? That's not a 1K. We need an 18K because the way you have it in there, right? So it's like you're gonna have people that'll help keep you honest as well.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool. So let's see. I'm trying to think of some of the ones that you did. So like Demi Lovato, you did a previs for that, right?
Yeah,
Still
I mean
alive?
we can pull up some of the images here. I have some of those renders if I can find them here. Let's go into here. We'll go into. Let's start. I'll pull up a preview so we can kind of see this overhead diagram of all the stuff I have going on, right? So I have S360s, I have SpaceX on Max Menace arms, I have 5 18Ks outside these windows, and that I think is Vine Avenue or Vine Boulevard, whatever it is in Hollywood.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
So I have these lights on like a 8-foot sidewalk, so I don't have a lot of room to put them there. And we
just for the viewer's sake, try to visualize the scope of this. Like, how big is this room?
Sure.
Like, what was like 60 feet?
So this room is probably 60 to 80 feet by
80
like
feet.
80 by 80. So it's massive,
huge
right?
banquet hall.
Yeah, and you firsted for me. on this,
Yeah.
So you
Sorry,
saw
I
it
didn't
firsthand.
say that before. Yeah, I was there at the actual shoot.
So going into this, I'll just kind of break it down. When we got in there, let's just go to the scout pictures real quick, because I think that's kind of a good thing to see here.
Because that was one of my questions. Like, so that rendering he just showed, it's pretty accurate to what the room actually looked like, as far as you could probably build in Cinema 4D. But like, how did you build all of that out, texture-wise and stuff? Like, did you just base it off of location scout pictures and things like that?
Yeah, so
just find
on the
assets
scout,
somewhere?
I just take as many pictures as I can. I think it's like, you can't take enough pictures because you're always going to be like, you're going to get back into your office and you're going to go, damn, I wish I would have taken a picture of that corner because I really need to see that corner. I really need that chandelier. I really need, I mean, who knows? Like, production might pull in some of these chairs, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going through and I'm just, okay, so there's the 12Ks outside. That's my gaffer, Taylor Huddleston there. As we're kind of going down this, that's the projector I used. We'll just kind of go through here. Let me get back to, this is behind the scenes. I'm not even in the right spot. That's all right, here we go. Cool, so yeah, I'm taking pictures of the curtains. I'm taking pictures. This is important too, because there's a lot of moving heads that were already there. So a lot of these lights, like the lights that are inside the glass on the ceiling, were already there, were controllable.
That's cool.
Cheap LEDs, so I was like figuring out shutter speeds and shutter angles
so they don't
to
flicker.
deal with those. We had all these little moving heads here, and so I'm communicating with my team in these scout photos, but I'm also doing this for the render too, because I need to see what everything looks like. So after we saw all this stuff, so here's the banquet hall. We got the big windows on this back side here, which were really important because the director wanted to see beams of light coming through there.
Yep.
And then, after I scouted, I took all these photos, and then I went into, I think I did this one in Cinema 4D. Cinema 4D, for those of you that don't know, it costs money. Blender is absolutely free, and you can do the same thing. You can get the same assets and everything in Blender, so that's what I'm using now. And I'd like to teach Blender. So if we go in here to previs, you can kind of see as I scrub through this is the build. And so some of these assets, like the walls, so if I just pause this really quick, like these walls over here, I just made those from scratch. And you can make a wall just by adding a plane and stretching it out. Boom, there's your wall, right? But then there was all these molding pieces that I had to, here that I had to create myself, which were just like little squares that I drug out and then boom, I created one of these squares here, and then I copy and pasted it, copy and pasted it, copy and pasted it. So copy and paste is obviously your friend in there. And then I found some, let's see if I go to the curtains. So the curtains in the background, I just found some curtains for like a normal sized window, and then I just scaled them up. And so it's like little things like that. And there's, I'll be talking about this at the workshop, but there's a plugin that will give you all these free assets like curtains or walls or sconces or chandeliers. That's where I got the chandeliers from.
That's really cool because not only is this a good communication tool for your team, but it's also something that the client can see and see that the vision is going to be executed in the way that they hope, right?
Absolutely. Yes, it's really important because a lot of times, especially on these music videos where the artist has a huge hand in it, you get there, you light it, and the artist is like, "This isn't what I want. We have to change it." Right? And so like that's happened on a lot of videos. I'm not gonna name drop anything.
Need a beauty light, or I want to change costume or whatever.
So when you can send them a render that looks pretty close to what you're gonna get, obviously it's an animation, right? But they can say, "Hey, yeah, I like that." And then if they sign off on it and then they want to change things, it's not on you anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it's a cool way to kind of save yourself.
Yeah, that's a win.
So yeah, this is the Demi Lovato video. I have some quick renders, I think. So that's like, this is very, just very kind of raw, right?
Yeah, it's raw.
It's showing that we're gonna have these
but
moving heads here. It's showing we have light coming through these back curtains. It's showing kind of the space. And like for the art department, they had to build this huge like runway, right? So like they know that that's there now. My G&E team knows that those sconces need to be on, that these chandeliers need to be here and active. And so that's that. And then I'll just take you through some of the screen grabs from the actual piece. So
there's projector work right there.
Projector too. And it's a funny story. I think we can go into the story of this. But so this whole thing, I think I had a team of like 6 and 6, which is definitely not enough to load in, to light everything, to shoot everything.
Because it was a big space, a lot of lights,
and then to
a lot of gear.
Load out all in one day. So we got to set, and it's like 2.5 hours in, and I'm talking to Taylor, and he's like, "Dude, we only have 2 of the 12Ks outside set up." And I'm like, "Dude, we only have 30 more minutes." So he's putting a hustle on that, putting a hustle on getting the SpaceX up on the Menace arm. And then I like get to a point where I like to call like 99% done, where I just want to put little tweaks on it. And the AD comes to me and he says, "We can't wait any longer. She's on the stage. Roll the camera." And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I need to bring in like a fill for her.
Just
and he's like,
sweat dripping.
Yeah. Probably. So he goes over me. He tells Thor, the Steadicam operator, to push the button, or I think you had roll control, and they made us roll the camera.
I can't remember how that.
They made us roll the camera without me being ready, and I was like so nervous. And they're like running it, and like the EP's like looking at me like, she needs more light on her face. And I'm like, I know. Yeah. But luckily, after that take, she had a wardrobe change she had to do, so they weren't going to use that take anyways. So I got my guys together. We did a little hustle real quick. Boom. At the same time, the projector had just got there 10 minutes before we started rolling. So I have my key grip. He's putting the projector up on a stand. We have to get it up really high. The projector didn't come with it's like the VGA to whatever connector, I guess.
Oh yeah. So
it didn't come with it, so I'm like running to everybody like, who has this, blah blah blah. And I think who's our second AC on this? Joe, Craig?
Yeah, I think it was Craig or Neil.
Neil, somebody had
Neil
one.
was with us.
We got it connected, and right before we went, I'm like, I go to the director. I'm like, Jensen, can I do the projector thing I was talking about? And he was like, it might be too, like the whole time they were like, it's kind of iffy. It might be too, what's the word, like grungy for her, because she's a pop star.
Sure, yeah.
And so halfway through, I just turned it on. And I was like, I'll take the heat for it. And everyone went, "Oh my God, that's so dope!" Everybody, the producers, her whole like glam team was like
sometimes
freaking
you just
out.
have to show them, right?
You just have to do it, man.
Yeah, just got to do it.
And so yeah, that's kind of a quick rundown story of this project and the previs to what we did. I'm excited to talk about it at the workshop too, more in depth. But yeah, I think it's a good thing to talk about, like previs, like being as prepared as possible.
Yeah, I agree.
And then like, not only like if you're not doing it, are you showing up and like you're not going to look as good, but you're also like your team is only good as its weakest link, right? And if you're a leader, if you're a DP, you're in a leadership role of a lot of different teams, right? It's like production design's looking up to you, your electric department, your grip department, your camera department, right? All these people are looking up to you to give them a clear and concise vision.
Yep.
So these are just, I think, some of the tools that.
Because it's like storyboards, right? Like storyboards are helpful because you can get a visual sense of what the director is thinking.
Yeah,
and so it's the same thing from a cinematographer's sense, that like now all the lighting guys know what you're thinking. Yeah. And as a camera assistant, I know where your camera is going to be and that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of little informative bits in this for everybody, not just the lighting guys. It's also the art department, like you said.
Right.
It's insight into your brain.
Yep.
Which helps.
Exactly.
Because then you don't have to use like too many words to explain it. You can just show them a picture.
Exactly. And it's like you're not a lot of times like I'll think I say something and someone understands, but then it's like if I tell the art department, I'm like, okay, I need a sconce that looks like this, blah blah blah. They come to me with something completely different.
Yeah.
And if there isn't that margin of error zone where they can come to you beforehand and then be like, hey, is this what you meant? Then they just show up on set with it.
Exactly. And, you have to live
and then you have to live
got.
with it. Yeah. So it's like if you can show them what kind of sconce, right? You can do that with photos and stuff, but if you put it into the space and they can understand why, it's a lot easier to convince people of stuff. It's a lot easier to just get what's actually in your head across. I can't tell you how many times before I started doing pre-production that I'd get a treatment, right? And a lot of those videos are very unorganized and stuff. And by the time we finished the video, it was completely different than the treatment.
Yep.
So by doing this work ahead of time and like really putting your head down and just doing the work, and a lot of times I don't get paid for it, but I'm getting paid for it as investing in myself as a better cinematographer, right? So you are getting paid for it, and you're investing in yourself. But my videos all of a sudden started becoming more of what I wanted and less of what I had to settle with.
Right.
So it's very refreshing, kind of being like, yo, I did a little, I took an extra day or two to myself without getting paid, but now my videos have like leveled up dramatically.
It's cool knowing that like the thing that happened in your brain first, eventually became the final product. It's really cool.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
awesome.
executed exactly what you were thinking.
Yeah.
It's really valuable. And you kind of walked me through a Blender session when I was trying to pre-light a scene for a movie that I shot.
Yeah.
And it was super helpful.
For
Legend of the White Dragon. Shout out.
Yeah.
But we built this set. It was a monastery set, and it had like stained glass windows, and it showed me how to build out the textures and all that stuff. And then I could like pre-light the scene just to figure out like how many lights I needed in order to do it, and came out exactly the way I planned. It's really helpful, and I didn't have to go through all of that struggle on set trying to figure out what the right tool was. I already kind of knew,
Yeah.
Which was really helpful.
And then I think it's also really important for when you're trying to do stuff you haven't done before. So my first time using motion control, I'll just go into this. Let me find it. I think it's in this one here. My first time using motion control, we shot this.
Oh yeah.
And so this shot right here is from a movie I shot a feature film called Aric. And it was my first time using the bowl.
Now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's Love Me Dead or something like that. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It'll be out in October, actually.
Oh, maybe not.
Limited theatrical release, hopefully a lot more theaters, so that'll be cool. But yeah, so this shot, I had never used motion control before, so like, I don't know. When I am faced with a problem, I dive really deep. And I'm just like, motion control, okay, boom, robot, okay, cool, this is the one.
Are you just trying to figure out all of the things that can go wrong, or what's your thought process there?
I have to do it, right? The director's like, we're using a robot. I think it'll be really cool for this scene. I'm like, okay, well, what do you see? And he's like, I don't know, man, can you just like send me an example? So I'm like, I've never used it before. I don't have any like things on my reel about it or anything that I can show them examples. You can see examples from other stuff, but a lot of it's not shots like this, right? A lot of people aren't like, and this is like
not as many moving parts as something
storytelling,
like this.
And a lot of it's like product shots and stuff. So like to find a shot so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make it myself. So I went in, here, and this is Cinema 4D, and I literally just, let's full screen this really quick. I literally just made the shot. So I animated the camera, I put 2 people in it. Yeah, it looks kind of ugly or whatever, but it got the point across. Like everyone could see what the camera was gonna be doing. We knew timing when Dove needed to walk in. We knew that she needed to stab. We roll around to reveal her, pull back to see his reaction, and then as he falls over onto RJ Mitty there, they take off, right? So boom, everybody was on the same page. And then I'll show you guys really quick the screen recording of like what that looks like. Let's see if we can. So then I sent them this as well. So you can see here, you can actually see the camera moving in 3D space.
Okay,
So now I sent this.
That's cool.
Recording to the motion control guys at camera control, and they could see what the robot, they could see and tell me, okay, you need at least, 6 feet to pull back or 8 feet to pull back. You need to come down to here. You need to come over there. They can tell me if the robot is able or capable of doing those shots. So in my mind, I've never done it before, but I know that if I send them something where they can see where the camera is going to be and they can see like previs of the shot, they can tell me if it's possible or not. And then I can go back in here if it's not possible and I can make adjustments. That way when they show up on set, I don't even need to be there really. They know the move I want, right?
Yeah.
It's really just like them pre-programming. It took us a couple hours to pre-program. It took us another hour and a half or so to actually like dial in with some extras. Some like stand-ins. And I have some.
So you just set some marks down on the ground and worked with stand-ins for a while until you got it right?
Exactly.
That's great.
So here's some BTS shots from the day. So you can kind of see us. These are just stand-ins. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Pat's Liquor over there. Where is that?
It's on Kester.
Kester and Van Nuys. Right down the street from here.
Yeah, it's not far from here actually.
So yeah, this is us just running through it, and it's really hard. What we were trying to do was we were trying to motion control the focus as well. But with that little marginal human error, every time the hand goes up, it's naturally just going to be in a tiny little bit different spot. My first AC on this, Joe, Tom Kufsick, shout out to Joe, love you, man.
Shout out, Joe.
Super talented DP, first AC, pulled this whole thing by hand, which is crazy because
impressive.
It's like, I think we were wide open, we're on the Supreme Primes.
Of course you were. You
at like a 1.5. And so there's other challenges here, right? There's challenges of like seeing a light in the frame, especially when we come back and go down to this. I kept seeing a light in the top corner. And so I had to keep, like as we're running the shot, I'm like telling my G&E guys, I'm like, hey, we need to rig that higher and we need to rig it higher. And so they're on the roof of this liquor store, rigging the light higher and higher up this billboard pole.
Wild.
And so yeah, that's kind of the thing I did there. But without motion control, it would have been so hard for me to explain the shot. And like, even like.
Well, and it would be pretty tough to execute that with like a Steadicam.
Oh, sure. So motion control, I feel like was the only way.
Yeah.
The only way to get that.
Yeah, that's the right tool for the job.
And so it was like, also, when you're doing this stuff beforehand, you're not in a time crunch.
Right.
So like for me, it's really hard to be creative when I'm being screamed at by a first AD. So being able to be in my office, I have as much time as I need, breathe,
think things
and now
through,
I can go, hey, all right, well, he shows up, he's scared, we're in this like Dutch angle of him. We go down to reveal that he's got a needle in his hand. We go up and like Dutch into the other guy like that's yelling at him. We swing around to see his reaction. We pull over to reveal her. It's like all these moves are directed towards a storytelling element to move this piece forward.
Yeah.
But we also go back to this, and another reason we use motion control is because we did the same exact shot. I don't want to, should I do the spoiler alert? No. We do the same exact shot for a reason, and so having motion control, we were able to kind of do that same exact shot to reveal something in the story.
That's rad.
Which is really, really cool.
That's awesome.
And
I'm also a firm believer, it's good to come in with a plan and throw it out the window if you have to, than not have a plan at all.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a great way to look at things.
I'm just like you. I want to make sure I have all my angles covered and everything, just.
And if you don't use it, you don't use it.
And if you don't use it, you don't use it.
Right.
Or like be open to creativity on the fly also, because, you may not see the space in the same light or angle that you saw at the location scout, or whatever. You might change your inspiration when you're there, but
Sure.
like it's still good to have a plan.
Yeah. I'd rather have a plan and veer from it than to not have a plan at all and be scrambling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
That's cool. Yeah, so I just want to, real quick, I don't think we said the date or anything of the workshop.
Yeah,
the next workshop is Saturday, the 28th of September.
28th.
From 5 to 9. And we're going to be talking all things Blender and previs. And if you go to warehouseworkshops.com, you can sign up for the subscription. You can also just come to the event if you don't want to be a subscriber or a member. And I'm excited. Yeah.
You can watch all the past workshops on the website as well.
Yeah, we have 14 workshops up.
Yeah.
We have
valuable information on there.
Yeah. And then I'm really excited about the community too, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. There's like a general discussion board and questions and answers, and we're just kind of excited to see what everybody has to offer the community.
Yeah, exactly.
We might put up maybe some like looking for work kind of things, or like gigs, or I don't know. Like the possibilities are kind of endless right now. We're still trying to figure out where it can go.
I feel like the whole thing of warehouse workshops is kind of being in the right place at the right time, and we're trying to create the right place.
Yeah.
Because I always talk about how like I got my start with George Orozco. I was at film school, and he was at the same school, and we kind of joined forces, and he knew some people. I never would have had those opportunities. I didn't know anybody in the underground hip hop world. Like I didn't know any musicians. Like I'm some like fuck up from Santa Clarita that like never did anything with his life. And then I just found a camera, and now I'm here at school trying to do something with it. And just being there and being positive and like being down to just help out at all hours of the night. I got introduced to some guys, and I shot some videos that got a lot of views. And so it's like the same thing. Like I've seen it happen. Like I know Eli Franks, the techno crane operator. He was here teaching a class.
Love you, boy.
And then a guy from the workshop hired him.
Yeah.
And it's like Jensen was here and a cinematographer was here. Jensen's the one that I've shot like Falling in Reverse Ronald with and all those big videos, the Demi Lovato video. He met a cinematographer here, and that guy has shot like 3 or 4 of his music videos. So it's like bringing people together, you're only that much closer to getting to the next step by being around people.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else in Los Angeles that allows you to do that
really not.
regularly, every single
month. Not with
month.
this mixture of things,
Right.
with education and networking together on a regular basis like this.
Right.
Every
and
month.
for the price.
And for the price, yeah.
We could go to ASC for $3,500.
Well, yeah.
I don't have that kind of money.
Let's see if I have some in my closet. But I mean, I think the community here in general, I think, is really valuable. I mean, I personally have gotten work out of it as well, and I think that's kind of what you started it for in the first place, was not just to teach, but also just to bring people together.
Yeah, I think
so
we
you can
started
meet
it.
the next collaborator at one of these events,
Yeah, I think when I started it, no one was really doing anything because we're in the middle of the strike. It was last summer, not this summer, but last summer is when it started.
It was last
June? May? I think it was May.
May 2022.
So it's like, well, we're all kind of sitting around. Let's just have a party and like also like have education and like also talk about the shit we want to be doing right now that we can't do.
Yeah.
And it turned into something really cool.
Yeah. I really like where it's going. I mean, it feels unique and dynamic every time, and every instructor has brought something cool and interesting to the table. Like last month, we had the camera car guys and
Technoscope.
Eli with his Technoscope, and Brendan Reel a few months back did a key grip thing.
Yeah.
And that was really informative. I mean,
and we have a lot of really cool vendors that come in and
like
donate
Atlas
their time.
Was there last month.
Atlas has come, Vaxis,
Viltrox,
Hollyland. My homies at Hollyland. We're using their mics. We're shooting these awesome Venus Live 2s. That's what this is shot on right now. They hooked us up with those. And Cinema Junkies has been with us since day one. Filmmakers Academy have been with us. Toy Box. The list goes on and on of people that are just like want to be here to support the film community, and it's.
I think that's what it's all about.
All aspects have like come together in a perfect storm to be like a really cool thing, and I'm just I'm stoked. I'm grateful. I'm like excited.
Come on out to the next one, guys.
Come to the next one, guys.